how many more unarmed white women have to die until you recognize how corrupt and dangerous this filthy city has become? Welcome to the Savage Nation. This is not a good day for me, and it really shouldn't be a good day for you. I know the biggest story on a national level is Flynn flipping, but if you look at that, let me put it right out of the way in case you people are celebrating that he is going to confess that Trump talked to Russia about fixing the election so the old woman could win. If you actually study this, the Flynn thing, the court filing today describes a very senior member of the presidential team who directed Michael Flynn to contact officials from Security Council countries, including Russia, to learn where each country stood on the UN Security Council vote regarding Israeli settlement activity. It had nothing to do with the corrupt old woman from Arkansas. So just put that away. Nothing to do with fixing the election, you asses. You asses, you. You killed a woman in San Francisco. Pelosi, Feinstein, you killed a woman, you lousy. You know, I know you expect me to blow up today, and I'm not going to. If you think I just blew up, you're wrong. Do you know that a sea lion is worth more in San Francisco than a white woman? Do you know that if that piece of garbage that was acquitted yesterday in San Francisco, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, you can blame your news channel for that. A woman was walking in San Francisco on, well, the area near the terminal, the ferry terminal, with her father a couple of years ago, when a filthy, degenerate piece of human trash who had been deported 5 times shot her in cold blood. She died in her father's arms and said, "Dah," and died. This filthy, degenerate city just sprung him free on all charges except possessing a gun. In the beginning, this piece of trash from Mexico said that he was shooting at sea lions with the gun. Well, then his filthy, dirty lawyer, who in my opinion should be indicted by the federal government. If you think I'm kidding, wait until you listen to me about what I'm calling for. This rat lawyer twisted the people around so much that they didn't even know that he aimed at them, aimed at the 2 people on purpose, the white people, to kill them. Whether it was a gang initiation or not, we'll never know. Then they changed the story and said he was shooting at sea lions with the gun. Do you know that killing a marine mammal in San Francisco Bay is a violation of the Marine Mammal Protection Act, which can result in a $100,000 fine and a year in prison? Do you know that the life of a sea lion is worth more than a white woman in San Francisco today? You think that's an exaggeration? It is not an exaggeration. I want federal troops to come into this city and take the city over. And let me tell you something, there's precedent for it. This was a major miscarriage of justice, and President Trump has the power to bring in federal troops to take control of this city. There was no justice here, and it's bigger than this case. The case is very sad because a beautiful young woman was shot dead, dying in her father's arms as she begged him to help, and it didn't have to happen. This piece of human trash should not have been here. The blame lies with Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, and Jerry Brown, and every city, state, and national leader who has pushed the sanctuary city nonsense. You see, before this murder, this cold-blooded murder, this Mexican killer was on track to be deported for the 6th time. But his course changed when he was transferred from federal custody to San Francisco County Jail in March of 2015. According to the local newspaper, when city prosecutors, so-called, discharged the case, the sheriff's department released human trash despite a federal request to hold him for deportation. Then Sheriff Ross Mirakarimi cited the city's sanctuary policies, which limit local cooperation with immigration enforcement and seek to encourage illegal alien people to feel comfortable having a relationship with the criminal city agencies which live off them. And then Jerry Brown, who is the new Southern Sheriff of California, signed a bill creating a sanctuary state. These reckless left-wing politicians are not only playing with your lives as criminal illegals flood across the border, but they're telling you that you can be shot dead in the street, and they will shop the case to a jury, and the killer will go free. I'm asking you what the difference is between what happened in this rotten city and what southern states were doing in the 50s and 60s regarding immigration. The federal government in Congress and the courts said children should be allowed to go to the same schools regardless of color. But racist governors like George Wallace stood in the doorway making sure that wouldn't happen. Well, Jerry Brown is now George Wallace. The good liberal Jerry Brown is now a Southern governor. He is George Wallace. And Jerry Brown is standing in the doorway of your security. You have local officials and state officials refusing to obey federal immigration law. And that is why this girl died. And this is now a threat to everyone walking the streets of San Francisco. And so I say President Trump must do what President Eisenhower and Kennedy did and federalize the National Guard to take control of this city of San Francisco to enforce federal immigration law so another person doesn't have to die pleading for help after being shot by another gangbanger in San Francisco. Now, they say he was tried by a jury of his peers, this Mexican illegal alien. Well, that would mean that they had to be felons and illegal aliens. Is that what a jury is in San Francisco now? That would be like saying if they hung a black man in the South and they wanted a jury of the peers of the Ku Klux Klan member who did it, if they caught him, what would they do, get other Ku Klux Klan members on the jury? Because it seems to me they got the equivalent of Ku Klux Klan members on the jury here to spring this guy, Jose Inez Garcia, blah, 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 Marate, whatever his name is. He wasn't supposed to be here, but he was here. And where did he get the gun from? The gun that killed Kate Steinle was a Sig Sauer pistol that had been stolen 4 days prior to Kate's death from a federal ranger's car parked in the area. Who was the federal ranger who left the gun in the car? Because she or he is complicit in this murder. She or he is complicit in this murder. Did you hear what I just said? This is a classic example of the overreach of defense. This is a classic example of what happens when you have a Ku Klux Klan-like mentality on the left, and that is what we have. Who was the jury? Well, the rotten, stinking judge hid their names. We know that 6 men and 6 women were chosen from October 2017. We know 3 of them are immigrants. Are they illegal immigrants? Are they also felons to make sure that they were a jury of his peers? Jose Inez Garcia Zarate shoots a 32-year-old woman walking with her father on San Francisco's Pier 14 in July of 2015. And they sprung him on all charges except for possessing a gun. Now, last night when this came down, I figured I'd wait until today's show. But I couldn't wait until today's show. I was outraged. I couldn't eat. I was shaking with rage. Do you understand what happened in this city? Do you understand that we are now Arkansas in the 1950s? Do you understand what liberalism has become? Do you understand that they are the new Southern sheriffs? These are the people who hung people, lynched people, and then laughed if any of them were caught because they stocked the jury with their boys. They stocked the jury with Ku Klux Klan members who found them not guilty. This is what liberalism has become. I am shocked that there's no outrage from the lesbian community. I'm shocked that there's no outrage from the, quote, women's rights activists. I'm shocked that there's no outrage from any liberals in this city. I'm shocked that frozen-faced Pelosi hasn't said anything, that big-mouth maniac. Why isn't she the one who washed the feet of illegal aliens? This country is out of control. I am telling you, if you live out of this city, don't come here. I live here. I am telling you, do not visit this city. Your life is in danger. Because even if you get beaten up or killed in this city, the killer will go free if he's an illegal alien. That's what this message is. Do not come to this stinking city until this city is changed from top to bottom with uncorrupt individuals. This is corruption. What do you think corruption is? If you corrupt and pervert a jury system like this, if you corrupt and pervert a system where a sea lion A sea lion's life is worth more than that of a white woman. Tell me what perversion and corruption is, if not this. Shall I repeat for you, if you're laughing at me right now? If this piece of human trash, who was freed yesterday of all charges except possessing a gun, if this piece of human trash had killed a sea lion, he would have been charged under the Marine Mammal Protection Act, and he would have been fined $100,000 and put in jail for a year. Instead, he walked free. He walked free with everyone laughing. They all high-fived each other. The defense attorney high-fived the jury. They high-fived everyone in the courtroom, winked at each other. They did it again. Well, there's a lot to talk about today on the Savage Nation. I can ask you how you feel, but what am I going to do? Tell you feel good about it? How do you feel about it? You feel good about this? Why don't you listen to how the brother of Kate Steinle feels today about this thing in clips 2 and 3. Play them back to back, Robert.
The outcome of this trial doesn't really change the fact that the system, both on a city and federal level, miserably failed in protecting Kate. The lack of accountability and change is what I find is the most disheartening and outrageous part of this entire thing. The failure on all levels is what led to her death, and I think they share as much blame, if not more, than Sanchez. One of the hopes that we had after this had happened was that through some activity, government, through San Francisco or federal government, something would change on either level, but it seems as though it's the status quo, and this could happen again to somebody walking on a pier or somewhere else in San Francisco.
Don't tell that to Willie Brown. Don't tell that to the board of the San Francisco newspaper. Don't tell that to the snickering defense attorney Gonzalez, who's high-fiving his way all the way, he thinks, to the State House. They're laughing. They just got away with murder. One of theirs just killed a woman, unarmed woman, and he walked out of a courtroom smiling. If this is not the equivalent, I'll say it again and again, of a Ku Klux Klan member getting away with hanging someone in the South in the 1950s and then being tried, but the jury was stocked with his old boys in the Ku Klux Klan and they freed him. Tell me what the difference is. What, because they call themselves liberals? Why is there such a silence from Nancy Pelosi, who never shuts her big mouth? She has something to say about everything. She washes the feet of illegal aliens. She puts down Trump. She puts down Republicans. She puts everybody down, but she won't put down a Mexican murderer. Why not? Your life is in danger in this city. A few weeks ago, actually it was right after Columbus Day, I went down to that area with a friend of mine who was visiting from out of state. He was a media figure. Luckily, I had 2 bodyguards with me. I normally don't. They're both Mexican, by the way. And we were walking right near that area, across a park by the ferry terminal. There was a guy with a golf club, and I'm talking about a big golf club, a homeless piece of trash who belongs in a mental asylum. He looked at me. He didn't know me, but he looked right in my eyes. He looked at me and stared at me. I stared at him, and he had the golf club in his hand. And the 2 guys stepped between me and him, and he put the club away, put it away, and slunk away. Well, my friend was staying at the hotel down there, the Hyatt. He said, Michael, you're not going to believe what happened tonight. I said, what? He said, remember the guy with the golf club in the park? I said, yes. He got into a fight with another bum who had a broomstick handle in his hand, a long broom. They were fighting outside the hotel. One of them left in an ambulance bloodied. This city is out of control. It is time to federalize the National Guard and take control of San Francisco because the people are threatened in the city. There is no justice. There is no peace. There is absolutely no reason to visit this cesspool ever again. This piece of human trash who killed Kate Steinle is laughing today, as is his defense attorney, high-fiving everyone in the progressive community. One of theirs just got away with murdering a white girl. Shot her in cold blood. They had the nerve to say that the bullet ricocheted. You and I both know forensically that's impossible. So they selected a jury of his peers? Really? So that would mean they're felons and illegal aliens. That's your jury today in San Francisco? A sea lion's life is worth more than a white woman today in San Francisco. Now, to retry him would not be double jeopardy. It's been done before many times. And I have a list of all of the times the federal government had to step in after there was a miscarriage of justice. There are federal civil rights charges that could be brought against him. Remember when 4 L.A. police officers were acquitted for beating Rodney King? Do you remember there was a public clamor? There was a call for a federal civil rights trial to right the alleged wrongs. Why is there no outcry now for a federal civil rights trial? Why? Because he's sacred. This felon, this repeat felon, he is sacred man. We need political pressure on the federal government to try him in a federal jury. A divided U.S. Supreme Court ruled in the late 50s that conducting separate state and federal trials does not constitute double jeopardy for defendant. Does not. This man must be tried again. Immediately, Jeff Sessions must step in. In addition to that, I believe the National Guard must be federalized. The state is out of control under Governor Jerry Brown, who was now the governor of Arkansas in the 1950s. A sea lion's life is worth more than that of a white woman in San Francisco. This shows you how insane liberalism has become. Now, I knew last night when this came down that this story would get almost no play in the New York area. It's not in the New York Post that I can find. I don't think it made the New York Times. They buried it. So people said to me, how can you talk about this on a national talk show even though you live in the San Francisco area? I said, I'm going to because I have to. This city and this state is not America. This is not the real America. This is a twisted America. This is northern Mexico. And the quote leaders of the state may as well be working for the Mexican government. I want to ask you something, and I want you to try to put your biases aside for a minute. What if a white homeless man had found a gun in San Francisco and shot a Mexican woman who was strolling with her father, and the Mexican woman died in her father's arms saying, Daddy, Daddy, help me? I want to ask you what would be going on today if that white guy who had killed that Mexican woman walked out of the courtroom smiling as in The Godfather. But there's no outcry here in San Francisco. Why? Where are all the compassionate liberals of San Francisco? There aren't any. That's their front. It's the same way that Harvey Weinstein and the others who have been outed for being lechers pretended to be good liberals. They used liberalism as a front. Global warming, animal this, women's rights, but they were lechers behind the scene. It's the same here. You think Nancy Pelosi cares about illegal aliens, even though she washes their feet and lauds them? Didn't she just say a few weeks ago every immigrant is an important person? Would that include the piece of trash who killed Kate Steinle and walked out of the courtroom laughing? So last night, I knew this wouldn't be played nationally. I went on to Twitter. There's a new device on Twitter called Periscope that my friend taught me about last week. And I put it on Facebook and Twitter. The reaction was enormous. Not that I need the traffic. It's not going to sell a bean. I'm not looking to sell you anything. I figured if I would go onto Twitter with my Periscope thing last night, you'd get the unadulterated, raw Michael Savage live, what I felt last night when I put it up. And I don't know the time. It's up 16 hours now. But I saved it for you today. We had to take out a few words. They're bleeped out. So let's listen to Michael Savage from last night's Twitter Periscope on the murder of Kate Steinle, where we found out that San Francisco and California have now become the South of the 1950s. Hi, this is Michael Savage. I'm live on the Savage Nation tonight with a special broadcast to talk about the miscarriage of justice in San Francisco. I am unable to tell you the level of my disgust with Nancy Pelosi. with the entire illiberal criminal establishment. I believe that they should be arrested for what they have done. They killed this young woman. Now, let me put this in context. Not only was this illegal alien piece of not found guilty for murder, but this illegal alien piece of who had been deported 5 times was not even found guilty of manslaughter. So let me ask all of you good progressives a question. What if, God forbid, a white man had shot a Mexican woman to death, and he was found not guilty on any charge? I want to ask you what would have happened in the streets of this sick, disgusting, degenerate city that I live in. But I want to know what should be done. No justice, no peace? I will tell you what should be done. I'll tell you tomorrow on my radio show. I will tell you right now. The raw sewage of Nancy Pelosi's filthy mouth, the raw sewage of this filthy city, the raw sewage will be stopped. But unfortunately, Donald Trump has been neutralized and neutered. If we had the president we elected, he would send in federal troops right now and take this city over. Now you say, oh, you're crazy. It can't be done. You are wrong. You are 100% wrong. Were federal troops sent into Alabama when that state would not comply with a federal rule on integration? You're damn right they were. Donald Trump has the power to send in federal troops to take over this sick, disgusting, degenerate cesspool ruined by Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein. A girl was killed. Men are being destroyed for looking at a woman the wrong way. Men are being destroyed for touching a woman. Men are being destroyed for suggesting a woman have sex with him. But a woman was killed by a filthy, illegal alien piece of from the gutters. Deported 5 times in this filthy city. Shopped it to a jury of illegal aliens who were not even allowed to be told who he was or what he had done. Did you hear what I just said? No justice, no peace. I want Donald Trump to wake up and stop talking about nonsense. I want him to send federal troops into San Francisco. I warned you for months on my radio show that this city is crime-ridden. Have you heard me on my show? Did I tell you there's a crime wave? Did I tell you that these sick, degenerate scum who run this city are all criminals? Did I tell you that? Where are all the feminists now that we don't need them? Where are the big mouths? Where are they? A girl was killed in front of her father, died in her father's arms. You're telling me it was a ricochet? You morons, you. A bullet cannot ricochet like that. He aimed at her and he killed her. It was a gang-related murder. He was sent to kill that girl. It was a gang initiation. But only in this sick, degenerate city could a Mexican illegal alien who had been deported 5 times get away with shooting a white woman dead in the street who dies in her father's arms and be found not guilty on all charges. Build that wall, deport them all. 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 This keeps up, I will tell you what's going to happen. There will be a civil war in this country. This is the last straw.
Savage.